Bloody attack in Afghanistan, not one led by Taliban fighters, but a street mob, angry at the actions of a hate-spewing man in Florida. 12 days ago, we got word that infamous pastor Terry Jones was about to burn the Koran after all. And we weren't alone in deciding not to give him any more attention. Less than 30 people showed up, most media ignored it. But last week, Afghan President Hamid Karzai publicly condemned the act, and before long, he became a hot topic in cafes and mosques in Pakistan's parliament. So clerics with bullhorns had no trouble organizing today's protest, which quickly turned into a bloodbath. Most days, Mazar-e-Sharif is one of the quietest towns in a war-torn country. So there was no real alarm when local Afghans marched on the UN compound, shouting slogans against Israel and America, and this moment in a faraway Christian church 2 Sundays back.
And the Koran was found guilty.
The man at the desk is Pastor Terry Jones, the self-appointed judge in a mock trial of the Koran. In front of him is Pastor Wayne Sapp, the executioner, who went on to light a copy of the Holy Book soaked in kerosene. Though video of the actual burning can be found through links on Jones's website, there's no telling how many people at today's rally actually watched it. But you can see the crowd grow angrier when a radical cleric announced that not one, but many Korans were burned. Their anger soon turned to action, and they rushed the gates. Unable to stop the crush, Afghan police shot into the throngs of people, killing at least 4. But they were soon overwhelmed, their AK-47s taken. The guns were then used to mow down 4 Nepalese security guards. And once inside, 3 UN workers were murdered, at least 1 beheaded. Afghan police say they've arrested 20, including a man they call the mastermind who sparked the riot. But this is exactly the kind of thing American officials were worried about in September, when Pastor Jones told Terry Moran how he planned to commemorate 9/11.
You got the wood over here that you're going to use.
Right.
Make your bonfire.
Yes.
And burn the Quran.
Yes.
This stunt that he is talking about pulling could greatly endanger our young men and women in uniform who are in Iraq, who are in Afghanistan.
Everyone from the president to the secretaries of state and defense to commanding generals in the region implored him to show American-style tolerance and respect for the world's Muslims. And back then, Terry Jones told Nightline that their pleas worked. But his new idea was even more offensive: a mock trial for the Holy Book, with 4 possible forms of punishment.
Those forms were burning, shredding, drowning, and the Quran would face a firing squad.
With his pistol on his desk in front of him, Jones explained to me tonight his new twisted reasoning. Why did you burn the Quran after all?
After we canceled, we still wanted to continue our campaign of raising an awareness of this dangerous religion and this dangerous element. So after much thought, we came up with International Judge the Quran Day. We decided we would put the Quran on trial.
Who was the jury? Who condemned the Quran?
Made up from different individuals, mainly from around Florida.
When you got news of today's deadly riots there in Afghanistan, what was the first thought that went through your head?
We are, of course, very sad and devastated by that. It is, of course, a terrible thing. Anytime anyone is killed, I think it definitely does prove that there is a radical element of Islam.
Should you bear any responsibility for inciting today's horrific actions?
We do not feel responsible, no. We feel more that the Muslims and the radical element of Islam, they use that as an excuse.
Don't your actions make it that much easier for these radical imams to incite this sort of thing? They now have a specific incident of an American burning their most sacred text. Doesn't that make it easier for these radicals to incite and spread their murderous hate?
As I said, I believe that they definitely use that as an excuse, as an opportunity.
Then why do it? Then why give them that excuse?
They can use, but it is also not a reason to back down, and it is not the reason to point the finger at us.
When you burn the text that 1.3 billion people consider holy, how does that raise awareness of the radical fringe?
Well, I think we see that very clearly what they did for years and years, and we have never forced them to adapt human rights, civil rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion.
Here's the ironic part to your argument there. The timing of this comes at a time of unprecedented awakening across the Arab world. People motivated by all the things that you talk about, freedom of speech, democracy, are taking to the streets. It's not a religious movement. It's purely a democratic populist movement. But now this incident, and the headlines will be that this happened as a result of your actions, may help derail that very thing that you're asking for.
No, I don't think it will do that. I believe that it is time to raise that awareness.
And for Jones, this is also a time to raise money, since there's no way his tiny congregation can cover their soaring security bills. He recently put his church up for sale on Craigslist. And as millions of peaceful Muslims wrestle with another horrific act carried out in their name, it was a deliberate choice not to ask Pastor Jones about any future Koran burning plans. And to be honest, we really wrestled with the decision to give him any more airtime tonight, but ultimately felt that you are capable of making your own judgments, and we hope you share them with us at abcnews.com.